How would you like to interact with women so effortlessly that every single conversation just flows almost without you having to think? How would you like it where women were attracted to you completely naturally, where you didn't have to force shit, you didn't have to be in your head, you didn't have to overthink, you didn't have to use all kinds of pickup techniques and things like that? And even better, rejection wasn't something that you experienced every single time you talked to a woman. How would you like that? I know for myself, 5 years ago, 6 years ago, when I was learning dating skills, when I was learning success with women, this was something I would have paid a lot for. At the time, I didn't have the money, and people weren't making videos on YouTube like the one that I'm about to share with you here, because all that knowledge was just not readily available immediately. There was different kinds of knowledge, but I'm going to explain to you in this training how you can almost eliminate rejection completely from your dating life, and how you can interact with women completely naturally, completely holistically, in a way that has them saying, I want to invest in you as a man, I want to come back for more, how can I be a part of your experience? And this is going to be really powerful if you can use this and apply it to your life. I want to introduce you to a concept called magnetic attraction. It's really powerful, and what we're going to do is look over here at the whiteboard. This is you. That is you. I don't know, maybe you're happy, put a smiley face. That's you. What most of the time guys do, this is probably what you're doing. Most guys, what they do is they say, there's a bunch of things I need to do, actions I need to take, stuff I have to do, ways I have to put myself out there so that I can go and I can do what? I can get the girl, okay? This here is the girl. We'll put some nice little long hair on her. That's the girl. So they say I have to do all these things so that I can get the girl. And the more things that I do correct, the more riz I have, and where I don't fuck up, the more I'm going to get this girl, because I do things to cause her to react and I get her. But when you approach dating from the perspective of magnetic attraction, something very, very interesting happens. And I'm going to illustrate this here for you as well. Let's imagine again that this is you, okay? That's you. Smiley face. Instead of you saying, I need to go out of my way to go out and get the girls, magnetic attraction is saying there are women around, let's say, again, more girls, and because of who I am as a man, these women are going to want to be with me just because of who I am as a man. So instead of you going out of your way to try to get the girls are going to come to you. It's a real thing. It's a real possibility. And this is what we call magnetic attraction. And that is going to be the focus of today's training. Fuck my handwriting. It's horrible, but I don't really give a fuck. I think you get the idea. This is what it is. Magnetic attraction. It's where instead of you going out of your way to try to get women, you have women come to you. And this is how you actually eliminate rejection entirely from your dating life and how you meet women. A lot of men don't do this. What a lot of men do is they do a lot of things and they say some of them are going to be rejections, like some girls are not going to like me, other girls are going to like me, and I'm going to rely mostly on luck. I'm going to hope that I get in a situation where a girl's receptive enough that I can get her. And what's funny is I've seen all these Riz videos coming out, you know, a lot of guys saying like W Riz, and it fucking pisses me off because these guys don't actually have good game. They instead are getting phone numbers and they're chasing girls and they're saying funny lines and the girls are reacting and laughing. Haha, take my number, like little reward. Good little doggy, you get the phone number because you did a great job of entertaining me. These guys are not seeing the girls again. The girls are not texting back. Trust me, I've done this with over 15,000 girls. It's unhealthy number of women I've approached over the last 6-7 years. They're not texting back because women respond based on logic. They text you back if there's plans, if there's commitment, if there's seriousness. But you know, hey, I like you, you're funny, haha, get my number. No, doesn't work. So how do you eliminate rejection? Because I know that's a problem a lot of us face as men. A lot of times rejection happens because you've done something and tried to put a coin into the machine. That's what I like to call this metaphor. You put in coins in and you're hoping to get back the toy, which is getting her fucking phone number or something, getting a date. You put in coins to the machine, right? And she doesn't receive that well. So that's what the rejection comes from. But I'm going to teach you how you can basically eliminate rejection entirely from your dating life, how you can interact with women where there's literally zero chance of you actually being rejected. And this is what I've gotten to in how I communicate with women. This is also what I teach my clients. It's really, really powerful stuff. So the first step you have to do, the first thing you have to understand is redefine and understand rejection. So before we actually go into like how to not have rejection, you have to understand what rejection actually is. There are two kinds of rejection, okay? First, what we have is active rejection. Active rejection is, I don't like you. That's active rejection. I want you to understand this very clearly. Active rejection is, I don't like you. I'm not into you. This is not going to go anywhere because I don't like you personally. There's something about you I don't like. And this is the kind of rejection most guys face. Most guys deal with this. And I mean most guys who are putting themselves out there trying to meet girls. They go up, you say hi to a girl. What happens? The vibe is okay, but it's like, thank you, I have a boyfriend, goodbye. Maybe she does, maybe she doesn't have a boyfriend. But that's the reaction most guys get. And it's not where it's like a personal attack either, but it's where she's just not feeling you. The second kind of rejection is what we call passive rejection. Passive rejection is moving forward just isn't a good fit. And this is a kind of rejection we can live with because it's not actually rejection. In any field in life, whether it's sales, whether you're doing pretty much sales, that's the only field I can think of. But in any field in your life, generally there's going to be rejection. You're applying for a job, right? There's going to be rejection. But rejection can either be, no, you messed up and there's something that you did. Again, when you do all that doing to try to get girls, this is what usually happens. There's something you did wrong and it's preventing me from being attracted to you. Or else there's the other option, the other side of this, which is passive rejection, which is moving forward just isn't a good fit. And that could be on your end or her end, right? This will happen with me a lot. I'll talk to a girl, we have a good vibe, but for some reason I'm just not attracted to her. Or I talk to a girl, we have good energy, she's attractive, but something turns me off in the interaction. Or I'm talking to a girl and we have good chemistry, it's sexual, but then she says she has a boyfriend or she's in a relationship, right? And she doesn't want to go that far because she wants to stay loyal, even though by the fact we were even in that position, I still wonder what's going on in her relationship. But still, there's passive rejection. Passive rejection is the realm we can deal with. What you don't want is active rejection. Active rejection is, no, fuck off, this isn't good. Or, oh, sorry, I'm gonna keep walking. All right, I don't want to talk to you. Okay. How do you shift from active into passive rejection and in fact eliminate it entirely? I'm gonna give you two really, really powerful steps. Two things that are very simple to do. These are so simple that if you literally started changing these things in a week or 2 weeks even, we'll give it that as a conservative estimate. If you changed your behaviors in 2 weeks, you would literally have a completely different dating life. It's crazy how simple these things are. They're shockingly simple, okay? There's two things you can do. Let's go into the first one. Increase the percentage of women that would be attracted to you. That's the first thing you can do. Increase the percentage of women that would be attracted to you, okay? In a sample size of 100 women, how many of those women would look at you and say yes? So we'll go back to the whiteboard here. I want to illustrate this for you because it's a very, very important principle. And a lot of guys don't understand this. For most men in dating right now, the way the dating marketplace is structured, and if you've ever read any evolutionary psychology, which I refer to in almost every fucking video because I'm obsessed with evolutionary psychology, you'll understand what I'm talking about. So for most men, the way that dating works is you have, let's say, we'll draw circles, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There's one here, 10. Okay. For most guys, what happens is if you go up and let's say you're not that attractive, or you're average attraction, you communicate okay. Let's say the way you interact with women, your leadership ability is not so good. You don't present yourself the best, but you're not bad. So let's say you go up to 10 girls. What'll happen is maybe only 2 of those girls will actually be attracted to you. This is true, by the way. This is a real number. This is not something I'm making up. This is not something from my mind. There's been studies, and in online dating, women swipe left 80% of the time. That's the norm. I'm not kidding with you. And again, there's a bunch of factors. We're talking about the average cute girl. She finds 80% of guys unattractive, which means all these guys are a no for her, okay? The odds are not in your favor. That's the truth. The odds are not in your favor if you are average. So that's why the first step is to increase the percentage of women that would be attracted to you. So if you spoke to 100 or spoke to 10 girls, how many of them would be easily able to say yes? How many of them would just say, yeah, I want to meet you. Yeah, I'm attracted to you. So what I've done in my dating life and what I did to really get good and virtually eliminate rejection is it's very simple. I just worked on myself to the point where now, give or take, around 8 of these girls are going to be attracted to me and they're going to say yes. There's always going to be a category of girls that isn't, right? But those still aren't rejections, and I'll explain why in a second. But so now there's more girls that are attracted to me, and if a girl's attracted to you, there's a good chance you're not getting rejected. Now it doesn't mean you're going to sleep with her. It doesn't mean that it's going to work out. She could be in a relationship, but these girls should be attractive to you. There's a certain point you hit, and I'll explain this point. Once you get to around, like I say, a 7 out of 10, where you're like a 7 as a guy. A 7 out of 10, I'm basically meaning where generally 7 or more women in a group would be like, this guy looks good. That's, or not just looks, but how you communicate and how you lead, how you present yourself. That's what attraction is. It's a 3-part formula that we teach in our program. It's presentation. How well do you present yourself to the world in terms of looks, how you walk, your hair, how tall you are, how in shape you are. There's that. And then you have communication, which is how well you share information and ideas. That's important as well. Then you have leadership, which is the least important, but it's still important, how well you can create experiences. Okay, so if you get to a point where you're averaging out 70% in all of that, where if you were talking to 7 girls, they would generally be like, he's attractive, I like him. What's going to happen is something very weird. You become something that we call objectively attractive. Okay, so the girls over here, let's say the 2 girls who are not into you, it's not because you're not attractive, because at a certain point you become objectively attractive, where your standard of who you are as a person, the standard of what you've become, is just an attractive guy. Let's take a guy like, I was going to use the example of Henry Cavill, but I'm not going to use him because I'd rather use a black guy. I'm a black guy. You know, no hate to my good-looking white actors. I've actually used them as examples before, but we're going to use Michael B. Jordan. So let's say a guy like Michael B. Jordan, right? Let's say he goes out, does some social stuff, not like, you know, like in a weird way, but he's just out in a club or a bar. Let's say he doesn't even have all the status per se. I know status is a factor, so girls would want to fuck him just because he's Michael B. Jordan. But let's pretend girls don't know who he is. He carries himself really well. He's super in shape, dresses well. He's like a man in his prime. He's very, very attractive, has tons of options, okay? So let's say Michael fucking B. Jordan went to a club, and 9 out of 10 girls, you know, we would fill this one in, 9 out of 10 girls are attracted to him. There's gonna be 1 girl who's maybe not gonna be attracted to him. She's not into him for whatever reason. But is it because he's unattractive, or is it because it's just not a good fit? Could they even have a good conversation and a good vibe where it doesn't feel like rejection? You see what I'm saying? So it's at a certain point, it becomes less about having every girl want to fuck you. And that doesn't mean you're being rejected if she doesn't want to fuck you. Instead, it's more like, oh, we're just not a good fit. Yeah, he's not my type exactly, but he's objectively a good-looking guy. Like any of my friends would probably want to fuck him, right? Or sleep with him, right? Okay. So you want to get to the point where if you spoke to 100 women, 80 of them would say yes or more, 80 or more. All right, that's where I've gotten to in my dating life. So I never get rejected. Again, do I have situations where the interaction falls off, where we don't end up sleeping together, we don't end up hooking up, nothing happens? 100%, all the time, of course. Because if I go out in a bar right now, and usually what happens is I'll talk to around 3 to 5 girls, and I'll take 1 girl home. That usually will happen. Or I'll set up a date with 1 of them as well. Or if I don't go home with someone, I'll set up a date with 2 or 3 of the girls. A very solid date. There's always going to be 1 or 2 girls that I just don't vibe with, we don't connect with, nothing happens. Why? Because every girl is not going to be attracted to you. But at the same time, I'm not getting rejected by those girls. It's more like things just fall off. We have a nice conversation. It's like, okay, this just isn't a good fit. So that's step number 2. You need to increase the sample size of how many women are attracted to you. Then we go into step number 3, which is really interesting. You turn cold approaches into warm approaches. This is really powerful. And a lot of guys, I think, struggle with this because we tend to put things in a binary. It's like one half or the other half. It's like either I'm going to approach everyone and I'm going to get an amazing, like a result doing cold approach, or I'll just do some social stuff and make it where girls know me. But what I've done is I've switched how I meet women and I combine those 2 things. So I turn approaches that are normally cold and random, which are the ones that are more likely for you to get rejected in. And then I turn those cold approaches into warm approaches, okay? So as an example, one of the things that I do is I give pre-eye contact and I look at attraction signals before I meet the girl. And this is something you need to learn how to do. Start giving eye contact, pre-eye contact, and looking at attraction signals before you meet a woman. What that looks like is, let's say you're in a bar socializing, and let's say there's a girl that's nearby that you're looking at that's attractive to you. Instead of me just going directly up and talking to her immediately out of nowhere, like, hi, excuse me, I saw you from over there. Some people would say this is bad advice, but I use this and it works. What I will do is I'll oftentimes look at the girl, I'll stare at her in her face. Like if she's facing away from me, I'll still look at her, and I'll wait for her to kind of angle around towards me. Usually what'll happen is a girl will catch your eye, oftentimes. Again, really helps if you're reasonably attractive. If you are objectively a 5 out of 10 as a man, this is not going to help you. And attractive, again, does not only mean how you look, but we're talking about that initial presentation, your communication, and your leadership. So if you're moderately attractive, this will work for you. So I'll give eye contact with her. I'll give her a look in her eyes, and I'll look at her like I just know something about her, like I know her soul. I'll look at her like that. She'll oftentimes look at me and like twirl her hair, give eye contact back. So what I'll do is now I'll go up to her, but that approach is no longer very cold, it's warm instead, because I've already created some kind of connection with her before I even got into the interaction, and that's really freaking powerful. And then the second thing I'll do that's part of this step, which is making cold approaches warm approaches, is I don't ever start with I'm hitting on you. Again, there's no rules really, so sometimes I literally will tell a girl I'm hitting on you, but that's for another video. That's more advanced shit. But generally, I won't start with telling girls I'm hitting on you. I'll allow my sub-communication to say that, right? So I'll open a girl maybe with, who the fuck are you? Or one of my clients actually, he came up with this kind of opener, and it's super good, and it's, I'm taking you to prom. Do you want to go with me? It's really weird, and it's really gimmicky, but I think it's so good. I love it. So that's one he uses. I'm taking you to prom. Can you go with me? Right? And girls are like, oh my God, we're too old for prom, right? So that's such a good opening or a good way to connect with women, where it's not, hey, I saw you over there and I thought you were attractive, I wanted to come say hi. Like the classic pickup artist, opener. It's okay to say that sometimes, but generally I don't do that. So even during the day, let's say I meet a girl during the day, I'll say, this is weird, but you actually looked interesting and I wanted to meet you. So I will place how I start conversations into perspective so that they feel more warm and they're not just cold. Hi, I'm selling myself to you. Hey, I saw you over there and I wanted to meet you because you're cute. You can say that, sure, but there has to be a bit more nuance in how you start conversations. This is how you're going to grow and how you're going to attract women. So you can really eliminate rejection from your dating life by doing these things. Number one is to understand rejection. Actually, there's two kinds, which is active rejection, I don't like you, and passive, which is moving forward is not a good fit. And then if you increase the percentage of women that would actually be attracted to you, you'll have a way better time of creating relationships with awesome women, because it's just going to be easier, because if you talk to 10 girls, 8 of them are going to fucking like you, okay? And things become way easier. And then, of course, make cold approaches warm approaches. Start to scan the venues you're at and look at the places you're at and look for signs of attraction. If a girl's walking past you in the street and you're attracted to her, make eye contact with her. Don't keep your head down like, okay, it's not happening. And then I'll turn around and tap her on the shoulder. Hey, excuse me, I walked past you. No, just look at her in the face as she's walking by. Like, look at her, smile at her. She'll make eye contact with you. She makes eye contact, and then you turn around and say, fuck, we had a moment. I wanted to meet you. Who are you? It's something we call in our program breaking the third wall, where you basically talk about meeting her. You talk about doing the game, as it were. You can become the kind of man who attracts women to him, instead of being the man who's always going out and doing stuff to try to get girls. Attract to you, don't always try to reach out and get, right? It's a bit of a nuanced difference, but it's really powerful and it will really change your life. If you want to grow in this, press the subscribe button and opt in essentially to learning more of these trainings. Learning more, I'm putting more on this channel. You know that we're putting out some amazing stuff, and we're working on some really great things for the rest of the year. Like, it's still, or as I'm shooting this, it's still January. I think this might be out in February, but it's literally January, February right now, and we're already putting out so much good things on this channel, so much good training. There's so many more things coming for the learning and for the growth that we're going to be doing together on this channel. Okay, so press the subscribe button. If there's any way that I can help you, all the links to my stuff are down in the description below. Be blessed. I appreciate you, and I will see you on our next video.